Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to get through the Race for Stanton event that's going on in Star Citizen right now in what I believe is the most efficient way, so let's get into this. So first off, as you probably already know, freight elevators are busted right now, which means if you try to use a freight elevator to load up some hauling contracts to get through this quickly, you're going to find most of them don't work due to one glitch or another. The way to get around this is basically not to take freight elevator contracts. Now the exception to this of course is if you need to do the first contract for a particular corporation where you do have to do some hauling. You'll need to get 3 SCU and you have to deliver the specific containers it gives you in that contract for the starter contract that each corporation offers. If you find yourself in this situation, what you'll need to do is visit round the various elevators in each particular server you go to and try to find a working freight elevator. As soon as you find one, spam the starter contract, and by spam I mean accept and abandon, until you get a starter contract that asks you to pick up at the particular elevator you're currently standing next to. Using this method, you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to get the starter contract out of the way. So assuming you've got the starter contract done, what we'll be doing is using the cargo retrieval contract. So these are where you have to go to a ship that's been abandoned by its pilot, or otherwise the pilot's died or something, and the ship is just kind of floating out there in space, usually accompanied with a gaggle of escort fighters, which are enemy fighters, so they will attack you on sight. Now these particular contracts come in two flavors. There's the small and the large version. The small is going to give you about 52 SCU of cargo per run, which is, not that great. The large gives you a much more decent, around 122 SCU of cargo per run. Now the catch is these are rather tricky contracts to actually perform effectively and efficiently. There's a number of ways to do it. The first way you can do is basically the Rushdown Method. This is where you take a light fighter or a lightly armed ship, you basically park your fighter up next to the ship you're looking to take the cargo from, you get into this ship as quickly as you can, get in the pilot's seat and try to fly out of there while the ship's taking incoming fire from the nearby enemy fighters. Now you can do this in 3 out of the 4 possible contracts available. You can do this with the small contract if you get the MSR, Mercury Star Runner, because that thing can take quite a bit of damage. You can also do it for both of the large contracts, whether you get the Caterpillar or the Hercules, because both of these are quite tanky and can absorb quite a lot of incoming fire. What you won't be able to do this for though is if you get the Freelancer on one of the small contracts, because the Freelancer starts off in the red. It's only a couple of shots away from being destroyed, so if you try to rush down, get to the pilot seat and get away, you're going to be destroyed before you can even make a move. It's just too weak and too fragile to do that with. But yep, 3 out of 4 isn't bad. Now if you want to take this route with the large contracts and exclusively do only the large contracts, you can certainly do that. What I'd recommend you do is try to get as close as you can to the ship in question, and when you get there, just evaluate how many fighters there are around the ship. If it's really well defended with lots of heavy fighters or heavier ships nearby, there's a good chance they might rip through the ship's hull before you can escape with it. However, if it doesn't look to be that busy in terms of the enemy fighter escort, you might be able to get in and get to the cockpit and fly out of there and ideally quantum jump away before the fighters can destroy the cargo ship. So for the Caterpillar, you want to just get to the elevator located on the underside of the ship and raise it using the button. You'll want to go to the habitation area, run through here, as you can see, through these doors, and take a left. When you get to this ladder, climb the ladder and make another left. Then there's a couple more rooms to run through, as you can see. Just follow what you can see on the screen here and you'll arrive at the cockpit module. From here, jump in the pilot seat as quickly as you can, turn the engines and systems on, spool up your quantum drive and get out of there as fast as possible. Now really, it can be a 50-50 as to whether or not you make it out alive, depending on how experienced you are at the game. It's a risky way of doing this, but is the most efficient method if you can manage to make it out each time, and of course if you don't encounter bugs and other issues. So that's one way of doing it. Now of course the other way you can approach this with a completely different method is to take in a medium ship, for example a Constellation or a TAC if you have something like that. Take the ship in to where the enemy fighters are and aggro them as best as you can. You'll want to move in close to the target cargo ship and wait until the enemy reinforcements arrive. So just keep moving around the cargo ship until the reinforcements jump in. Once you've got them all on you, just take them away from that cargo ship by using reverse thrusters or whatever you want. Get about 12 or so kilometers or maybe a bit more away from the ship, then engage your QT drives and jump somewhere else. Okay, then you want to jump right back to where the contract cargo ship actually is, and hopefully when you get there the enemy fighters are going to be much thinner in terms of numbers nearby, because most of them should still be distant. You might still have to deal with a couple of stragglers. Basically, once you've got rid of any stragglers nearby, hop out your ship, climb in the cargo ship and spool up that QT drive and get out of there. This is possibly the second most efficient way of doing it, but also a lot safer arguably, since unless you make a big mistake, you're probably not going to get taken out using this method. The third method of course, also the safest but arguably the slowest method, is just to deal with the fighter escort each time you jump into one of the cargo ship areas. So you could, for example, bring a light fighter like the Gladius or a medium ship, whatever you prefer, take out all of the enemies nearby before entering the cargo ship and jumping away. This is the slowest way of doing it, but if you manage to get large contracts each time, it's still 122 SCU a pop, so could well be worth considering if the other methods aren't working for you. So yeah, it's not quite as fast as the 180 SCU you get for the cargo hauling contracts, but right now those aren't working, so your best bet for now is to do cargo retrieval contracts. Now you might find there's a lot of competition for the large cargo retrieval contracts. They might get snapped up within seconds, so you are going to have to spam your mobiGlas to actually be able to access those and accept the contract. If in the meantime you just can't get any larges, you could opt for a small while you're waiting for a large to spawn, because again, the smalls give you 52 SCU per run, so they're not bad. Don't discount them entirely. Every bit of progress certainly helps. So yeah, that's my method of making progress in the resource drive race for Stanton right now in Star Citizen. If you like this video and you're interested in the game, please consider using my referral code, which you can see on the screen right now. If you use that when signing up for a new Star Citizen account, you're going to get a bonus of 50,000 credits. Thanks for watching, guys.